9 News Plus weather sponsored by Carrier Colorado. The future of home comfort is here.
Hey, thanks so much for joining us here on 9 News Plus on this kind of cloudy Tuesday morning for us along the Front Range. Those clouds will break on up over the next couple of hours. I'm 9 News meteorologist Chris Bianchi, and thanks again for joining us here on 9 News Plus. So let's get into that Colorado forecast, which for today will mostly feature, again, some of these clouds over the next couple of hours for us along the Front Range. Then it'll clear on up this afternoon. That'll allow those temperatures to get back into the 80s, maybe even a few spots near 90 degrees. But then tomorrow could be interesting for severe weather on the eastern plains. Conditional risk for us here in the metro area, and then Thursday looks to be the busiest day for us here in the metro area with the potential for some widespread showers and thunderstorms. Now, this is the view from Lookout Mountain right now. A lot of mid to high level cloud cover. This looks a lot more ominous than it actually is. These clouds will break on up over the next couple of hours as we get a bit more of a drier flow from the south and west that'll allow these clouds to eventually break on up and start to see some signs of that up into the high country. You might notice at the top right hand side of your screen there a little bit of blue sky poking its way through the skies over the Loveland ski area. And again, that is what's going to be heading our way here into the Front Range over the next couple of hours. So those clouds will dissipate as we head over the next 2, 3, 4 hours or so. By early mid-afternoon, I think we're going to have mostly sunny skies. Then tomorrow, some strong storms possible. This will be mainly for the eastern plains. Slight chance for that here in the metro area. I'll explain that here in just a second. And then Thursday looks to be the most unsettled day. Then drier, warmer weather returns for Friday and the upcoming weekend. So if you're looking for some of that drier, warmer weather to return, we got it this afternoon. We get it again for Friday and, most importantly, for the weekend. Before we get into anything else, we got an ozone action alert day in place for the entire Front Range until 4 o'clock today. Could get that ozone up to unhealthy for sensitive groups levels for this afternoon. So try and limit that time outdoors. And also kind of reminded this yesterday, when we get to these summer months, we get to these ozone action days, just try and avoid filling up on gas before 5 o'clock. Don't mow your lawn in the middle of the day. That can add ozone to the atmosphere and make things a bit more polluted. So just, again, try and hold off on some of those things until after 5 or 6 o'clock. HD Doppler radar showing us here some of that mid to high level cloud cover pushing its way through the I-25 corridor. Again, next hour or two, you'll start to see this cloud cover break on up from west to east for us in the metro area, and a little bit later than that for our friends out on the eastern plains. Now, speaking of the eastern plains, that's the one spot maybe out by Yuma County where could see 1 or 2 storms pop on up this afternoon, and it looks like a late start if we do get any storms out that way up by Ray, Yuma. That would be the one area where we could see 1 or 2 storms develop for tonight. But I think for most of us here statewide, should be bone dry for this afternoon and today, despite all that cloud cover that we've got overhead. Temperatures right now, 70s and 80s for us on the eastern plains, 60s and 70s into the high country right now. And for today, we should get those temperatures. It depends on how long, if these clouds break on up by noon, 12:30, I do think we'll get back into the upper 80s, but that cloud cover will be the tricky part of that temperature forecast for this afternoon. Let's go on the optimistic side and say it's going to get up to 87. By the way, yesterday we got up to 87 here in Denver. Officially, I will say here at our 9 News studios, it did get up to 93. Most of the Denver area did get up to 90 or above yesterday, but officially, where it counts at the airport, only got up to 87 with some cool easterly drainage winds out that way. It's a little bit nerdy. We'll avoid talking about that. But forecast highs for today, mid to upper 80s for most of us here across the metro area. A few spots could get close to 90 degrees if we break up that cloud cover in the next hour or so. Tonight, again, looking fairly calm. Beautiful night ahead for us. Those temperatures dropping back into the upper 50s. Fun fact, by the way, we've got 8:30 or later sunsets through July the 9th. We only get a couple weeks of those, but we have them right now. We'll keep them for the next 2.5 weeks or so. For tomorrow, temperatures up into the low 80s, so a little cooler than today, but the story for tomorrow will be the potential for some pretty strong storms out on the eastern plains, especially Fort Morgan, Lima on east. What we have for tomorrow without getting into the real nitty-gritty, nerdy details about this, we have an unusually high amount of energy. Got really a very moist and also very warm atmosphere on the far eastern plains. That will lead to the potential for some of these really strong storms. Now, when we get these sorts of risks, we also need some sort of a lifting mechanism to break through a lid of warmer air above the surface. Long story short, you need something to push all that warm, humid air up. And that's going to be the question for tomorrow. Do we have that lifting mechanism to get us some of those strong, severe storms for tomorrow? Right now, I think a few spots in the far eastern plains could get that. And that could mean some really strong storms out there, and maybe a few spots getting maybe even a few tornadoes, maybe some tennis ball or size hail or larger than that for tomorrow. Denver area, I think we're too far west to get the majority of this. It's possible. We'll know tomorrow morning. When you wake up tomorrow morning and it feels like South Florida tomorrow morning, that's gonna be your sign. Tomorrow could be a really, really busy day. If we get those dew points up to about 60 degrees tomorrow morning, that is an indicator. But otherwise, I think that the really humid stuff stays in the far eastern plains, and that means that we'll be talking about some pretty nasty storms out there. But for us in the metro area, probably. That's conditional probably, but probably keeping the strongest storms east of town for tomorrow. But once we get things cleared on out tomorrow night, it looks like tomorrow night could see a few showers work their way into the metro area for tomorrow night and into the Thursday morning. So Thursday, that could be our busier day here in the Denver area, but the severe weather risk looks fairly low for Thursday, but we do keep some of those stronger showers and storms around for the eastern plains for Thursday and Friday. And that's where we could pick up in some spots another inch plus worth of rainfall. It's been just an exceptionally, I don't have to tell you this, what a wet spring it's been, and it looks like we'll keep some pretty decent rainfall totals. By the way, slightly fun fact, at least to me, Denver needs exactly 0.27 inches worth of rainfall, a little over a quarter inch of rain, to meet and exceed what we picked up all of last year. And keep in mind, we're not even halfway through the calendar year yet. It is, of course, June the 20th. We've got a little over a week until we get that halfway mark of the calendar year, which is, of course, June the 30th. And if we get that quarter inch of rain, which it looks like we'll get this week, we would exceed all the rainfall that we had, all of the rain, melted snow equivalent that we got all of last year, officially at DIA. 7-day forecast. Summer officially begins tomorrow. More on that in just a second. Thursday looking like our unsettled day. Friday, Saturday, Sunday staying on the nice side. Although Friday, I'll just leave a slight chance for an isolated storm, especially east of town for Friday. Weekend looks nice. Early next week, much nicer as well. But summer officially begins tomorrow at 8:58 a.m. That is when the summer solstice is officially overhead. And with us, what the official start of summer, quick explanation, most of you probably know this, but for those of you who don't, means that the rays of the sun are directly over the Tropic of Cancer, which is about 23.5 degrees above the equator. So long story short, it's when the sun's rays are at their highest for us here in Denver. That means we're gonna have a little over 15 hours worth of daylight tomorrow, making it our longest day of the calendar year. And then we slowly trickle on down to the winter solstice, which means that for us here in the northern hemisphere, that in Denver, I believe that means we only get a little over 9.25 hours worth of sunlight at the end of December. We'll worry about that in 6 months. In the meantime, tomorrow, again, our longest day of the year, with the summer solstice taking place tomorrow morning right around 9 a.m. local time. But again, top line takeaways for that forecast today. I know it looks cloudy outside right now for us. Ignore it, or it's more bark than bite. These clouds aren't going to do anything. Tomorrow, those clouds will do something on the eastern plains, with the potential for some really large hail, some nasty severe weather on the eastern plains. For us in the metro area, we probably keep those strongest storms just east, but we'll know a bit more tomorrow morning. Then by Thursday looking pretty unsettled for us here along the Front Range. And then Friday, Saturday, Sunday looks pretty awesome for most of us here. And then it stays pretty dry as we get into the early mid part next week. Could get 90 degrees next week. But by the way, I I'll leave you with this fun fact. If we don't get to 90 degrees before next Monday, which looks pretty likely at this point, that would be our latest wait for a 90-plus day since the early 1980s. So it's been a cool spring, and it looks like that trend continues for the next little while. So hopefully that gives you a good idea about what to expect, and we'll keep you posted with that threat for severe storms for tomorrow as well. Meteorologist Greg Perez will have an update for you coming up at 9 News at noon and at 2 p.m. right here on 9 News Plus. Then at 4 and 5, we'll have Chief Meteorologist Kathy Sabin and filling you on in. And then at 6, 9, 10 tonight on the 9 News Family Networks, we'll have meteorologist Danielle Grant with your forecast as well. Once again, I'm 9 News meteorologist Chris Bianchi. Thanks for joining us here on 9 News Plus, and have a great rest of your Tuesday.